NASA was doing an experiment which they did not realize it was going to identify a certain physiological process that wasn't part of their remit. Now, what they did is they made made a group of astronauts wear Prism goggles. Now, what they were looking at is how long-term exposure to disorientation or weightlessness could have an effect on the human psyche. So, what you've got to understand is what is up and down. So, when you're on Earth, up and down is gravity. So we know if I lift this up, drop it down, that's gravity. That's downwards, because that's where it falls. In Australia, their down is a different one. It's all going to the centre of the planet. When you're in space, you're in constant free fall. And therefore, there is no gravity, right? You're in free fall. So any orientation is any orientation. There is no up or down. If you're in a space capsule, you could be that way round, your colleague could be that way round, and the other person could be length on, right? Now, if you can't see your body, and people are in different orientations to you, it's not what you're used to. So it could cause cognitive dissonance in the brain. There's a conflict in between the information that we're used to and the information we're receiving. That causes stress in the body because we can't equate it. We can't figure it out. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So what they wanted to do is find out if it would cause irritability, loss of appetite, inability to perform certain tasks, all sorts of emotional things. One thing they never expected was between day 25 and day 30, every single astronaut's brain flipped the signal back to normal. In other words, instead of everybody being upside down and on the roof with his Prism goggles, because that's what it did, everybody was totally upside down, it flipped it back to normal. Your brain had rewired itself so it could operate more efficiently. And this is what they call neuroplasticity. So when you change something on a regular basis, you create what they call structural tension. That structural tension is the neural pathways growing, which create these new methods of thinking and processing. As the embedding gets stronger, new myelin sheaths are laid over, and this is why doing the same thing over and over again creates better habits. Martial arts do it all the time. They do it in school or, writing lines, whatever it is. So that repetitiveness is what ingrains habits. Now, they were fascinated by this result. Now, what they did is they did another experiment, and on day 15, they got half of the astronauts to take the goggles off for 24 hours. Yep. Half of them kept them on, half of them took them off. What happened was that the people that left them on, day 25 to day 30, all their brains flipped to normal. The ones that had taken them off for just 24 hours, it took another 25 to 30 days to create those new neural pathways. That 15 days worth of work they had done already dissolved overnight. That's structural tension. Because it wasn't embedded, it just dissipated. So the challenge is when you get to day 10, 15, 20, or whatever it is, and you take off your goggles, what you're doing is you are destroying all that hard work. You're resetting yourself back to zero. And when you reset yourself back to zero, and it's a new habit, like a New Year's resolution, and you have that glass of wine, you have that cigarette, actually you've got to go another 30 days to cement that habit again. So you've actually just made the task of doing it more difficult for yourself. Yeah? Called sabotage. We don't realise we're doing it, but that's what we're doing. And then, they'll do it for another 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'll have another glass of wine, and then it'll be another week, and then a glass of wine, and then it becomes more regular, and it's like, oh, sod it, I'm not going to the gym anymore. Yeah? Or whatever it might be. And it's because you have broken that initial 30 days. This is the most important part of the transition of creating this new habits. And it's all about neuroplasticity. So this is the reason why we create these disciplines and why it's so important to do it every day without fail.